Hello and welcome to Real Impact Training Systems weekly Sunday night call. My name is Tony Jardieu and I'll be your host tonight. Roger Pascal, the CEO of Real Impact Training Systems and our regular Sunday evening host, is enjoying some time off and will be back with us next Sunday. And in case you don't know, Roger is also the author of this book, Subject 2, How to Buy Property with No Credit or Money Down. If you're interested at all in Subject 2 strategies, this is the book for you. Contact Roger. I believe it's on Amazon, and you'll be able to get a copy of this for yourself. Talk to Roger about how to do that. For those of you who are new to this call, at Real Impact Training Systems, we improve the quality of people's lives through real estate investing. Through several locations in Texas, and now one in Oklahoma City, Real Impact provides real estate investors on a local level with networking and educational meetings. Our locations are franchises owned and operated by seasoned investors who we call Impact Master Trainers. In short, IMTs. You'll hear that acronym a lot. In fact, my wife Cindy and I are the IMTs for Impact Arlington and Impact Waco. In addition to monthly meetings and workshops, our IMTs also offer a variety of one-on-one mentoring programs that can help you no matter where you are on your personal real estate journey. If you're interested in learning more about our training options, please reach out to one of our Impact Master Trainers. You can find the IMT locations and their contact information online at realimpacttraining.com. That's realimpacttraining.com. All you have to do is click on the locations button, which is in the middle of the screen. And tonight, in a few minutes, several of our IMTs will be joining us. So if you already don't know them, you'll get a chance to meet them. One of our primary objectives each Sunday night is to provide you with an opportunity to ask questions about real estate investing. No need to wait for the work week to start. We can do it tonight, Sunday night. Just type your question in the chat box and we'll see if we can get one of our IMTs to provide you an answer. Another objective on our Sunday night calls is to provide a tip of the week. This is a tip that you can use, will be very valuable in your real estate investing career. And tonight, I'll provide you with a tip for this week. And the one I'm going to talk about actually came up earlier in the week. I received an email from someone who was asking me about borrowing money under their personal name versus under an LLC. And I provided that person with some feedback. And I'm going to share some of that with you. So I'm going to call this tip, should I borrow property? Should I buy properties and borrow money under my personal name or an LLC? So let me preface this by first letting you know, I'm not an attorney. I'm not a CPA. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm a real estate investor. So I'm going to lay out some facts about each option. And I highly recommend, if you want to go down these paths, that first you consult with your tax, your legal, and/or accounting professionals to help you decide on your best course of action. My information comes from discussions with attorneys, a number of attorneys, a number of tax and accounting professionals, and quite frankly, a lot of boring reading. In fact, hey, if you have difficulty sleeping, let me suggest try reading the tax code. It really should do the trick. Based on the guidance we've received, we established two primary LLCs specifically for tax and liability protection. One of our LLCs we call Cinton Property Solutions. And we use that LLC for passive income investments, such as rentals. And despite a lot of personal involvement with some of our rentals, it's still considered passive income for tax purposes. It's pretty sweet. Another LLC we established is Cinton Ventures. And we set up that LLC for active short-term investments such as fix and flips, wholesale transactions, and selling properties with owner financing. A really cool, creative way to have an exit strategy. Those properties, those LLCs are separated this way because they get taxed differently. We don't want the passive income investments taxed as active income investments. And with the volume of activity that we do, if we only had one LLC, the passive income investments would taint the entire portfolio and everything would get taxed the same way. And we don't want that. Now, personal ownership versus LLCs. Let's first talk briefly about legal protection. The very existence of an LLC is, as the name says, a limited liability company. As long as you do not commingle funds in an LLC with your personal accounts or personally pay expenses for assets in your LLC, the assets in the LLC should remain separate from your personal assets for liability purposes. Of course, you can be personally sued because anybody can sue anybody, but the LLC should protect you, so the lawsuit should not prevail. The person who asked me these questions earlier this week also said, hey, I heard that if you get an umbrella insurance policy, you got your properties in your own name, and you have an umbrella insurance policy, that provides the same protection as an LLC. I don't know the answer to that. I have my opinions about it, but I think that question is better served by asking an insurance agent and more likely an attorney, because I have some questions about that. Umbrella policies you often see as $1 million. What if the lawsuit's for more than $1 million? Does the umbrella policy cover all areas in which you could be sued? And I'm sure there's questions that some of you could probably come up with as well. So my suggestion to this person was contact an attorney. I just don't know about that. Some of you might have heard this concept called a series LLC. Well, I don't have one set up, but I understand the logic and it makes sense. Having an LLC containing only one property, it'll limit your liability to that asset. If you have multiple properties in an LLC and you get sued, well, they can come after the asset values in all those properties in that LLC. If you own the assets personally, they can come after you and your personal assets in a lawsuit. Yeah, series LLC. Again, consult an attorney, one who is well-versed in setting up LLCs. What's the tax impact between owning, purchasing, and borrowing under your personal name versus your LLC? The tax impact. Okay, well, I'm going to tread really lightly in this area. Expenses associated with your real estate business are typically tax deductible, whether you have an LLC or not. The tax filing schedules can be different for LLCs versus owning properties that are in your own name. Depending on your tax designation for your LLC, you might file a Schedule C, same as you would if the properties were in your own name, or you might file a separate tax return. But here's where I'm going to bail. That's all I want to say about taxes. I don't want to provide any information that would lead you down a path that may not be appropriate for you. So please consult a tax professional. Now let's jump into borrowing money for your real estate transactions. If you borrow in your personal name, you're more than likely going to get lower interest rates than if you borrow under your LLC's name, as long as you have good credit, and especially a good credit score. You can borrow typically in your personal name with a 30-year amortization. And what is an amortization? It's a period. The amortization period is the length of time for the payment schedule. For example, a 30-year amortization means loan payments are due monthly over 30 years. Sounds simple enough. And the combination of lower interest rates and longer amortizations give you lower payments and therefore more monthly rental cash flow. Now, there is a limit to the number of these personal loans personal mortgages, and it's typically around 10. They also will count toward your personal debt to income ratio. And that may not mean anything if you currently are in a place where you don't plan on moving or refinancing a mortgage, or you just don't plan on getting a personal mortgage. But I can tell you from personal experience that this came around to bite us, because what we did, we had borrowed personally for 4 properties. And then we sold those 4 properties with seller financing. And those 4 properties counted in our debt to income ratio, which was really interesting because I didn't have W-2 income. And as I explained to numerous lenders, because we went to get a personal mortgage on a residence, as I tried to explain to them, I understand you're going to include those 4 mortgages, which I never personally paid. My companies always paid the mortgage payment. But you have to, if you're going to count that as debt, you need to count the income we get on those. And it was very, very difficult to get those lenders to wrap their brains around how seller financing with wrap mortgages actually work. Because most of those mortgage lenders, they just check boxes because the loans get sold in the secondary market and they have to conform to specific standards. And the stuff that I was doing was not standard. So it became extremely difficult. We actually ended up getting a commercial loan in place of a personal mortgage because I couldn't get the lenders to identify with the income portion of those transactions I was doing. So just want to let you know that could come around and be a question mark for you. Now, LLC loans, you're going to borrow money under an LLC. Great. It's typically considered a commercial loan by the conventional lenders, a bank. Lenders will consider the cash flow of the property for repayment purposes. That could be okay. You might have a higher interest rate, more than likely you will, versus having a personal loan. And the typical bank terms are a 5-year maturity, a 20-year amortization. That means the loan payment's based on a 20-year payment schedule. But the loan's due in 5, so the loan's due in 5 years. So there will be a balance owed at maturity. And typically, it can be renewed as long as you've been paying and you got a good track record. The renewal is a matter of an interest rate adjustment based on the then current rates. So not bad. A few non-bank lenders, a few non-bank mortgage lenders will do 30-year amortizations for your LLC loans. And what you get with them, it's great. 30 years is wonderful, but they can have some high fees. So you just have to read everything. And this is pretty important too. Don't miss the fine print. There can be payment penalties with some of those LLC loans on a 30-year amortization. Read the loan docs. Those prepayment penalties normally start year 1, X amount, year 2, a little bit less, year 3, even less than that. And then a lot of them go away in years 4 and forward. But some do have prepayment penalties, so be careful. The volume of loans with the lender is based on their internal policy. So it's good to have more than one lender. And they usually will require a personal guarantee, but typically they don't count against your personal debt to income ratio. Now, some people, they'll get the best of both worlds. Some people will buy the property in their own name, obtain long-term financing with the more advantageous loan terms in their own name, and then transfer the deed to their LLC for the liability protection. And we've done some of that. And they personally remain on the loan. Nothing about the loan agreement between them and the lender changes. But the ownership of the property is in their LLC's name. The LLC can make the loan payments too. And for their personal debt to income ratio, sorry, the loan will still count against them. So it's really a liability protection move when you conduct a transaction in that manner. Well, those are some of the facts as I know them. I certainly didn't cover everything, but I hope it was clarifying and that it didn't muddy the waters even further for some of you. I just wanted to be able to provide the facts as I know them. And that is the tip of the week. So with that, I want to share with all of you a couple of very special guests we have with us tonight. And it is my pleasure to be able to announce our newest Real Impact Training Systems, IMTs, David and Thao Nguyen from Oklahoma City. And for all of you folks in the Oklahoma City area, if you aren't already acquainted with David and Thao, you need to get to know them. In less than 4 years, they have built an incredible real estate business, and you are going to want to be hanging around with them. Hi, Thao. Where's David?
Hi, Tony. Hey, I am so sorry. David have to take the kids to school for a Christmas program. So he was so sad that he missed us today.
Okay.
But I'll tell him all about it for sure.
Well, welcome to
Thank
the
you.
Real Impact IMT team. We're so glad to have you on board. Would you please share just a little bit of information with everyone about Oklahoma City and what you're doing up there?
Yeah, thank you, Tony. Well, hi, everyone. My name is Thao Nguyen, and my husband is David Nguyen. And we are, just like Tony said, we are the brand new Real Impact Master Trainer located in Oklahoma City. We are local experienced investor here in Oklahoma. I currently host a group in this area, but I'm so excited about partnering with Real Impact Training Program because I believe that Real Impact have crafted an incredible business model that will provide me all the tools that I needed as a real estate trainer, as well as access to many valuable speakers needed to hold the best possible real estate investor meeting. And we will have our very first meeting as a Real Impact franchise in Oklahoma City coming up in less than 2 weeks. So if you are in this area, Oklahoma City area or close by, and want to learn how to be real estate investor in an effective way, or just to network, come to our meeting. It's going to be in December 18th. The address would be 663A Northwest 36th Street, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma 73008. Again, it's going to be December 18. The building is called 36 Square, and it's a beautiful building located at 663A Northwest 36th Street, Oklahoma City 73008.
Fantastic.
And it's a Saturday from 1 to 4. There will be a lot of local investor there for you to network. We're going to have a lot of food for sure. Christmas is coming up. And we will do a book exchange. And we also have many door prizes as well. So I am very excited, and I really hope to see some new investor friends there.
Fantastic. Now, Thao, you have been doing some meetings
Yes.
prior to becoming part of the Real Impact team.
Yes.
So you've already built up a bit of a following in Oklahoma City, haven't you?
Yes. Yeah. We this is going to be our 5th meeting together, but it will be our first as a IMT meeting.
So, Thao, what was the reason then, since you were already doing some of what we do, but what was the reason that you and David decided to join our team?
Well, yeah, like I said, so I mean, I've been looking to, there's a need in the group that I'm hosting. There's the meeting that I have here. I try to connect a lot of local investor here, especially in my community. And a lot of people need some guidance, education, and training. And God just opened the door that I met Real Impact team at the mastermind getaway, and I guess your culture and everything just fit how David and I want to be in. So and then also the business model that you guys have. So I'm just very excited.
Well, and likewise, we're very excited to have you on board. We did get a chance to meet you, David, and some other folks from Oklahoma City when we all went on that getaway. And I'm going to let Karen Maxwell later on in our program talk a bit about the getaway. So appreciate what you said with regards to what you're doing up in Oklahoma City. It is very, very exciting for the people up there because you guys are definitely making an impact and improving the quality of people's lives through the real estate investing that you're doing.
Definitely.
And just for a little bit of flavor around what your business looks like, can you just share with us, take a minute and share with us what your area of concentration is? What type of real estate do you do? What type of investing do you do?
Yeah, sure. Well, here, David and I, we invest in single family home, small multifamily. We do also mobile home parks, and also David do fix and flip as well. We flip a lot. I think this year we have sold about 4.5 million of flips already. And then we also do wholesaling and Airbnb.
That pretty much covers it. That's awesome. All right. So if anybody is listening, you're up and around the Oklahoma City area at any point in time, you need to reach out to David and Thao. Obviously, these folks are some investors that you're going to want to learn from. They are a powerhouse team, and you have family members who are associated as part of your team. And so you guys are really building something important up there, and we're so happy to have you with us. Thank you so much. Thao, tell David we all said hello.
Thank you. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, everyone.
All right. Fantastic. Well, that is incredible, isn't it? These folks have been in business for just under 4 years. Think about what she said, the areas of investing that they are involved in, and the volume of activity that they're doing in Oklahoma City. What's your excuse? Come on. All right. Next up, let's bring on Doug and Renee Toon from Longview, Texas.
Hey, leave your phone there. Come here.
Hey
guys.
Come on, Doug.
She's on the phone with Arnie. Here.
Okay, fantastic. All right.
Hey, Merry Christmas,
Hello.
everybody.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas. So Doug and Renee, Longview, Texas. Oh, were you successful in getting Arnie?
Yes, he'll be on in just a minute.
Fantastic. All right. Why don't you fill us in on what is going on in Longview and anything else you want to talk about that our listeners might find very interesting for this upcoming week and their future investing career?
Okay. He's going to make me talk. Okay. Well, we're super excited always, that we get to be real estate investors. We get to work in this wonderful industry that can literally change people's lives. And so in Longview, what we've got coming up is our real estate investors meeting, and it's going to be in about a week and a half on Monday, December the 13th. I want to make sure I have my date right. Here at the Big Red Barn at 6:30. We start networking at 6:30, and 7 p.m. is when we have our meeting. And we are so excited to have none other than Arnie Abramson at our meeting. Now that's really significant because he's going to be coming on this Q&A in just a few minutes, and y'all are going to get to meet him as well. But he is the man with a plan when it comes to all questions related to tax sales. And so we're excited about having him coming up.
Okay, fantastic. And anything else happening in the Longview area that you want to discuss with us?
Well, we have our we just got finished with a rehab on a sub 2. I think I'm meeting the guy with the gravel this week sometime, so he can kind of finish out the driveway. But we're done with it, and we've got it on the market. It's for sale by owner right now. So
okay. So Doug, earlier I mentioned Roger's book, Subject 2, and you just referenced that you picked up a property, right, Sub 2. Can you explain what that means and how you went about doing that?
Absolutely. So the way that we got the lead was just word of mouth. So somebody that went to church with us knew that we were real estate investors, and they said, "Can you help us?" And we said, "Well, we don't know." This was probably a year and a half ago that we started talking about this, and at the time, the numbers just wouldn't work. And, we said, if anything changes, we'll be right here. And things changed, and market grew and started to move up. And it looks like we're gonna make out okay. But basically, sub 2 is taking the property subject to the original mortgage. And these people had a mortgage, and it was to them. And of course, it all has to do with the seller's thought process. So whatever you believe about your situation is true to you. And so they believed that they couldn't do it. They didn't want to even look at the idea of selling at retail. They just said, Doug and Ray, help us get us out of this. And we took it over sub 2 and started paying their mortgage. It basically no money changed hands. I think we took them out to pizza. That's what we did. And no money changed hands. We started paying the mortgage ourselves and started the rehab. And now we got that sub 2 at 147. It's now a 4-bed, 2-bath, 2-car garage ranch in the country. It's very quiet out there with 2 acres, a pipe and sucker rod fence. If y'all know what that is really nice fence that goes around the place. And it would be perfect for just about any situation. So we've got $40,000 in rehab done, and we're ready to sell it.
Doug, you said something about these folks who owned the property that they wanted you to help them. How in the world would something like that even happen? Why would they think you could help them?
So they bought this property with his credit and his mother's credit. And the wife didn't have any credit. And they were all going to live happily together. Mom came down with an illness and moved back to, I think, New Mexico for health reasons. And so that income was immediately taken out of the mix. And so they're sitting here with $1,200 and was it 84? $1,264 a month. And neither one of them had really great jobs. One was probably minimum wage and the other was barely above that. And so they really didn't have any business getting into this property in the first place, but they were, and they wanted out, and it was just eating them alive. And the wife at one point said that a lot of times I sit in my car out here in the driveway crying, thinking to myself, I hate this house. I hate this house. I hate this house. And that's sad. And we don't want to take advantage of people, but they were in desperate straits. And that's not taking advantage of people when you're helping them. So,
right. And Tony, more specifically, the way that they knew we could help them was because we had some conversations about what we do. And that's what each of us as real estate investors need to learn how to do is communicate to people what we do. And that's help people with their real estate problems. That's what we do.
That's fantastic. It is a sad story, but it's a sad, happy story. You helped someone out who was desperate because you inform people what you do. And what a lesson for folks who are listening tonight who may be wondering, how do I even get started? What do I do? I don't have any money to get started. Well, a great place to get started is start telling people what you do. And because you guys were able to tell people what you do, these folks leaned on you because they had a major problem on their hands, and you were able to solve their problem and let them move on into a different situation that they could probably manage a lot better. So fantastic. Right. That's great. Well,
and the best part of the story, Tony, the best part of the story is this is a couple that was in in a mess and knew that they'd bitten off more than they could chew, but they didn't ruin their credit.
Yes.
And that is really the best thing that we could offer them, was an opportunity to walk away, not ruin their credit. And that's huge. That's huge.
It is huge. It allows them to fight another day, move on the road, do something else with their lives without having to have that financial strain of a bad credit.
Right.
Great. Congratulations to you guys. That's fantastic.
Thanks.
Thanks so much. Well, let's see if we can now connect with our very important guest this evening, Arnie Abramson. Hello, Arnie.
How are you?
I am terrific. Hey, we haven't had the pleasure of meeting, but I have heard wonderful things about you. And I suspect most of them are true. I hope most of them are true.
Well, thank you. And I've heard a lot about you as well. I'm going to move this over so I can look directly at you. Okay, that's better.
All right. So, Arnie, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us the company that you run, and you are the Texas tax sale guy.
Well, there's a funny story with that. A few years ago, I was going to Baltimore, I think, and there was a big expo that we were, a real estate expo. And I got a call from someone and said, look, we're putting on this thing on tax sales the day before the expo. We'd like you to come in and be on the program. And I said, okay. And so a few days before the event, before I even left to go, I got a phone call from somebody out of the blue. And they said, are you the tax deed guy? And I said, well, yeah. And I said, how did you find me? They said, oh, from the tax lien lady. I didn't pay any attention to that. And I got another call the next day. I said, how'd you find me? They said, the tax lien lady. So I'd never heard of the tax lien lady. So I Googled her and I went to her website, and the first thing on there was my picture. And I said, what's going on? And then I realized that she had been put in charge of that event the day before. And so she was promoting it and promoting me and a couple of other speakers. So when I got there to Baltimore the day before, and I walked into the room where we were going to have this event, and she was the only one in there, and we had never met. And I walked up to her and I said, are you the tax lien lady? And she said, yes. I said, well, I'm the tax deed dude. So ever since we had that duo, and we actually did a video, and it was tax deed lady meets tax deed dude, So that's a long story, but in my former life, I was a financial planner, and I moved to Texas in 1990, and I got into real estate the next 2 years. I had one, I had done a little bit earlier, but within the next 2 years, and what had happened was I went to a real estate club, just like Impact, but there was no Impact then, of course. But there was a speaker, and he was talking about the various ways that you can invest in real estate. And one of them, he says, we're tax sales. How many people here have been to a tax sale? And there were about 40 people in the room, and 4 raised their hand. So I was kind of nodding off a little bit. And my wife gave me a little elbow in the side and said, pay attention. I said, okay. And after it was over, she said, let's go talk to that guy over there because he raised his hand and that sounded pretty interesting. I said, okay. So we went over and we talked to this guy. He had just moved to Dallas from San Antonio, where he had done about 14 properties on the tax sale over the past. So he knew what to do, but he was going to work for a .com company and he didn't have time. Well, we were just getting out of financial planning, getting into real estate, and we had the time but didn't know what to do about tax sales. So we formed a joint venture with him, and we worked with him for about 2 years. And that's how we really learned about it. And it was very interesting because eventually we split up all the properties we had bought together and went, in a very amicable way. We just wanted to grow more, and he didn't. And so we started doing a lot of other things. And we did we did foreclosures with HUD, we did VA foreclosures, we did the tax sales, we did them all.
Yeah.
And we were managing properties, 200 properties once. And anyway, after a few years, 2008 was looming its ugly head, if you remember. And so we kind of divested. We said, okay, enough of this. I was even thinking about retiring. I said, all I want to do is teach people about tax sales because that was my true love. I really wanted to do that. So I started teaching people about it. And you know what? Everybody wanted a silver bullet. Nobody wanted to do the work. They wanted to learn about it and, just go on. So I made some changes. I started charging a little bit. And then I said, look, I will do the work, but you'll have to pay me for it. Well, a lot of them didn't do the work. So anyway, we started our program that eventually evolved into what it is today, where we have a membership and different kinds, and it just grew like crazy. And what I learned was we were the only company that was covering the whole state for tax sales, the only ones that was teaching people about it, because the people who knew about tax sales didn't want anybody else to know. And nobody was covering the whole state, so we kind of set our goals and said, that's going to be us. And that's kind of what happened.
Okay. Anything going on in the tax sale world right now in the state of Texas that we ought to know?
Nothing except 2 days from now, there'll be a sale with 80 counties having a sale.
Yeah.
That's Tuesday, actually. It's always the first Tuesday of the month is the tax sales in Texas, with two exceptions. If the first Tuesday of the month happens to be the 4th of July or New Year's Day, they will have it the next day, and it'll be the first Wednesday.
Okay.
And that's a relatively recent occurrence. 2019 was the first year they made that law. Before that, if it fell on a national holiday, they just wouldn't have a sale that month.
Okay.
So that's a little bit of trivia.
That's good to know. Arnie, we have a question that came in from Alex. And Alex's question, I'm going to read this, says, can you explain the right of redemption period for tax sales?
I would love to. Next. Okay. Redemption, aside from the biblical meaning, has two other meanings. One for states that are tax lien states, and another meaning for tax deed states, of which Texas is. Now, just briefly, a tax lien state is like buying a bond. You're buying a debt. In Texas, you're buying the property. So it's a tax deed state. You get a deed at the auction. Now, redemption in Texas, what that means is the people who had an ownership interest in the property that you buy at the tax sale have the right to buy it back from you. And they have to pay you what you paid plus a 25% profit. That's not an interest rate because it's not prorated. If you buy it on a Tuesday and they redeem it on Thursday, they have to pay you what you paid plus 25% for the whole year. If the redemption right goes to the second year, it's 50%, which sort of begs the question about how long is the redemption period. By the way, you're going to find that there are no short answers in this category, okay? Sorry. The redemption period is 180 days. We call it 6 months, but technically it's 180 days, unless the property you buy is a mineral right that has been separated from the property itself, or it has an agricultural exemption, or it has a homestead exemption. In any one of those cases, it's a 2-year redemption period. Otherwise, it's 180 days. Now, one other little footnote, they have to pay you what you paid at the auction plus 25%. So I know the next question is going to be, well, does that mean you can't make any repairs? No, it doesn't. You can make repairs. Just make sure they're not upgrades, because in the property tax code, it says they also have to pay you what you paid for some repairs plus 25%, but those repairs have to fall into one of these categories. You have to be able to prove that it was to maintain, preserve, and safe keep the property. Any one of those things. For example, if you've got a hole in the roof, certainly you fix it because that's to maintain, preserve, and keep the property. And they even give an example in the tax code that says your insurance premiums that you pay, that the house, if it burns down, that's certainly to maintain, preserve, and keep the property. So those insurance premiums you paid during the time you owned it, plus 25% are also redeemable. So sorry for the long answer, but that's the nature of this beast.
Yeah. Well, that was quite succinct. I appreciate that. And I'm sure Alex appreciates that response as well. So Arnie, if anyone wanted to get a hold of you, how would they go about doing that?
Secret. You can't. No, I'm just kidding.
Contact the tax lien lady.
Right. She's in Pennsylvania. It's Arnie at, are you ready? txtaxsales.com. TX for Texas, txtaxsales.com.
Fantastic.
Or, by the way, you can get in touch with the Toons because we work very closely with them.
And for anybody who wants more information, Arnie just gave you his email address, and go out to Longview on December 13th. Arnie's going to be there presenting on behalf of the Toons, talking about Texas tax sales. Arnie, thank you so much. Really appreciate your time joining us tonight. So glad you were a part of this. Thank you.
Well, thank you for having me. And I'm sorry I was late.
Not a problem. It's all worked out. Thanks so much for the information.
Thank you.
All right. We have a question that came in from Be Happy Building. And the question is it harder to get financing for a rental property than a fix and flip? Really good question. It might actually, in some cases, be harder to get a fix and flip loan. Let me think about this for a second. If you don't have a lot of experience, and this is going to be your first fix and flip, why does somebody want to take a chance on you? You got to have some pretty good credit. So getting a loan for a fix and flip might be pretty difficult because of all of the variables involved in getting that project to completion. It's not just buying it. You're going to run a construction project. And if you have no experience doing that, why would a lender lend you money? So you're going to have to put together a pretty dynamic loan request package. And if you want to borrow it under your LLC, you're still going to personally guarantee that. If you want to borrow it under your personal name, again, they're going to look to see, a lender is going to look to see what kind of experience you have with that. Now, a rental property, not as risky because you don't have all those variables. If you're going to rehab it, yeah, you have some of the same variables there. So the lender is going to look at, if it's under your personal name, they're going to look at your ability to pay. They're going to lean on you. What is your ability to pay back that loan? And it's going to be based on your personal financials, your liquidity position, how much cash you have, and what kind of income you have, minus your expenses. They're going to look at your personal cash flow to see that loan payments due to them are going to be able to be covered by you after you pay all your normal housing expenses and your own rent or mortgage. They're going to look at it a little bit more stringently with a big extensive rehab though. Now, if you have a refinance and you already have a tenant in place, much easier. There are other factors to consider: loan to values, loan to cost, how much is a rehab going to cost. Some lenders will lend up to possibly 80%. I have one that lends up to 85% of my acquisition prices, my acquisition costs, and then they'll lend 100% of my rehab. But I have a pretty good track record with them. So it's all going to be based on you, your experience in doing those transactions, and what type of relationship do you have with the lender? How stout, how strong is your financial statement? If you're going to run it through your company, does your company have operating capital? Does your company have operating cash flow? Operating capital is necessary in case you have to fall back on your reserves. So there's a number of factors involved. If you have further questions, feel free to reach out to me. Be glad to help you out. Now let's welcome Karen Maxwell Can we bring Karen on? Hey, Karen, how are you tonight?
I'm good. How are you? Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Yes, just fine. Karen, heads up our sales and marketing for a real impact. So Karen, what's new in your world?
Well, Dennis couldn't be here tonight, but I wanted to remind everybody that Dennis and Norma are going to be going to San Antonio this Friday from Fort Worth. They're taking the Amtrak from Fort Worth to San Antonio, but you can pick it up anywhere and meet them for the weekend. If anybody wants to go on that, please make sure you reach out to us and we will get you the information. It's going to be a great trip. We're looking forward to making it an annual event. The lights are lit up in San Antonio, so they are really looking forward to that. And we hope that everybody gets a chance to join. Mastermind Getaway is going to be scheduled for the end of March, 1st of April, 2022. We don't have the exact dates or exact location, but if you're interested in joining us, as Thao and David did in September, make sure that you get in touch with us, and anybody on the team can get you where you need to go for that. Royal Flush of Real Estate Investing, Dennis's new book. So Roger has a book, Dennis has a book, and we are working on a second book for this. So if you're interested in that, make sure you get with us. It's going to tell you why real estate investing is so successful versus other areas of investing. I want to definitely thank David and Thao for joining us. Oklahoma City, we are so excited to see them join us at Real Impact. We are going to be there, Roger and I, December the 18th with David and Thao, and that's going to be from 1 to 4 at 36 Square. So if you're interested and you're in the area, make sure you stop by, get with us, and we'll give you all the details, and we hope to see you all there. There's so much going on. I just can't even. I have so many notes. Coming soon, we have Denton, Shreveport, and Granbury joining us after the first of the year. We are certainly looking forward to that. We are expanding like crazy. As Thao mentioned, that there was a need for training, connections, guidance, and education. And so we're still looking for people to join our Real Impact teams. The trainers, so many areas. So if you are a successful entrepreneur that is honest, well-trained, experienced, hardworking, and likable, and you're interested in joining us, please contact any of us, contact me, and we will get you all the information, and we look forward to helping you. So what's your excuse? We're going to have Arnie Abramson in Longview on December the 13th, and I have not done tax sales, and I'm looking forward to doing this Tuesday, which will be the first Tuesday tax day. So if anybody's going in Longview or Tyler, please let me know, because I would love to tag along and learn from you guys. So let's see, what else do I have? And like Renee said, make sure you tell people what you do, because you never know who you're talking to may hear what you have to say and say, hey, I know someone, or I need help with a property. So just make sure that people know what you do and tell people that, and just be problem solvers, because that's what we do. We solve problems.
Great. Karen, thank you so much for that information. We do have a lot going on. You're very, very busy.
We do.
Bringing new franchises online takes a lot of work and effort, and it's well worth it because of the impact that we have for the local investor, the impact we have on local investors. So
Absolutely.
keep doing all the great work that you're doing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. CJ, before we bring on Pam Cleary, I wanted to mention that at Impact Waco and Impact Arlington, our next meetings. So I'd like to just bring this to everyone's attention. On Wednesday, December 15th, Impact Waco will be having our next meeting starting at 6 p.m. that night, Wednesday, December 15th. Our meeting starts at 6. We do some networking until about 6:30 when our meeting presentations start. So meeting presentations from 6:30 to 8:30. Our topic, evaluating deals for real estate investors. Come on, it's just in time for your New Year's resolutions. You want to start out 2022 with a bang. Set your goals. Well, part of those goals, you want to acquire a bunch of properties? You got to learn how to evaluate those to make sure you acquire the right properties at the right price. We're going to talk all about that. We're going to take some deep dives into evaluating deals. We're going to look at how you calculate comparative market analysis, ARVs, what the heck is all that stuff? And then how that rolls right into your analysis. So don't want to miss it. December 15th in Waco, Holiday Inn Express and Suites, Waco South. That's located at 5701 Legend Lake Parkway, again in Waco. Admission is free. Food and drinks will be provided, so don't worry about grabbing dinner before you come out. Holiday Inn Express and Suites. The next evening, Impact Arlington, Thursday, December 16th. Our networking starts at 6:30. Meeting presentations start at 7. We'll end at 9. Our topic that night is going to be a night with real estate investing team members that you need. Yeah, we're going to bring up people who are in the industry to help us. People who you need on your team. Our accountants. Yeah, believe it or not, our accountants, insurance people, general contractor, title company. We're going to bring up a loan servicing company and a roofer. Now, these are folks that you need on your team. We're going to have them in panels. They're going to talk about their industry, and we're going to open it up to Q&A. So you can ask them any questions that you want. It's going to be an exciting night. We do our meeting in Arlington at the Texas Gulf Center, 8940 Creek Run Road. Actually has a Fort Worth address. It's right off of East Chase Parkway and I-30. Like Waco, admission is free. Food and drinks will be provided. So with that, can we bring on board Pam Cleary? Pam is our IMT in the Decatur Alliance area. Is Pam still with us? She was
Pam's
driving
not on
earlier this
tonight.
evening. Excuse
Pam's
me?
not on tonight.
Pam was on.
No, Pam is not on.
Okay, sorry. All right. Well, Pam runs the Decatur Alliance location, and Pam is, I'm not sure when Pam's next meeting is, but I know it's probably in a couple of weeks. So sorry, we couldn't have Pam on board with us. And are there any other questions, CJ? Did we get anything else in? Oh, here we go. Pam's next meeting is December 21st, Tuesday at 6:30 networking time. Meeting is at 7. The location is the Big Shot Golf at 15700 Gulfview Drive in Fort Worth. Let me repeat that. You can see it on the scroll on the bottom of the screen. December 21st, Tuesday, 6:30 p.m. for all you Decatur Alliance folks. Meeting will start promptly at 7 after a half hour worth of networking. Big Shot Golf is the location, 15700 Gulfview Drive in Fort Worth. And so Pam hopes to see all of you at that on that date. All right. Well, with that, I am going to wish everybody a wonderful, wonderful week of real estate investing. I would like to thank all of our guests tonight. All of our IMTs were here. Arnie Abramson for joining us, and especially all of you who have connected with us on this call. I hope you all have a great investing week, and we will see you next Sunday. Thank you very much.